What if God wrote your to-do list? 52 ways to make the most of every day. Draw in the sand. We look to the book of John, chapter 8, as an example of Jesus really listening. In the temple courts, people had gathered to hear Jesus teach. A group of Pharisees interrupt, bringing in a woman caught in adultery to see if they can trick Jesus into contradicting the law. But Jesus turns the tables on them by letting his silence do most of the speaking. They put her in front of the crowd. "Teacher," they said to Jesus, "this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say?" They were trying to trap him into saying something that they could use against him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, "All right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." Then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. When the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, "Where are your accusers? Did not even one of them condemn you?" "No, Lord," she said. And Jesus said, "Neither do I. Go and sin no more." John chapter 8, verses 3 to 11. What was Jesus tracing in the sand? The sins of the accusers, their names, the exact wording of the Old Testament law. Perhaps he created a temporary drawing in the dust that evoked a deeper truth about sin, guilt, and humanity's need for grace. Thoughtful art, including Michelangelo's David, or anything you find inspiring, can lead you to stop, listen, and choose wisely. In the interview, the account of Jesus writing in the dust is a rich moment. Pastors need to look for the drawing in the sand. Young artists need to draw in the sand. Listen more, be silent more, draw in the sand more, and look for the drawing in the sand more. Jesus did not fall into the scribes and Pharisees' trap. His strategy is one that you and I can use. He listened, carefully measured his words, spoke a single thought-provoking sentence, and gave his audience time to think it through. In any kind of debate, the person who talks the longest and loudest often loses. Blowhards may generate more sound bites and even get more cheers from the crowd, but their words are hollow and miss the mark. Those who take in all the facts, consider what's best for all involved, and offer a reasoned response almost always get their point across more effectively. Worth noting, the Bible translation above includes an exclamation mark at the end of Jesus' single statement to his accusers, but I don't think he would have been emphatic with his words. I imagine Jesus using a prudent, rational, deliberate tone, don't you? Also worth noting, Jesus chose not to condemn the woman for her adultery, but he also didn't ignore what she had done. With clarity, Jesus did say, "Go and sin no more." If the Pharisees' trap had led to great shouting and accusing, that simple and valuable truth may have never been spoken to the woman. So what does all this mean for your to-do list from God? Well, it looks like this chapter may offer you 5 options from which to choose. Listen more. Consider your words. Draw in the sand. Look for the drawing in the sand. Go and sin no more. Did you choose one? I hope so. When you read this book again next year, maybe you'll choose a different item for your to-do list. Checking the list. Poise is such a valuable and rare commodity. Composure and discretion allow us to take time before we react. We should balance our lives so we're not in a constant state of panic or exasperation. When Pharisee-like thoughts creep in, we may be tempted to erupt and accuse, but what if we leaned over and instead traced in the dust? Don't fall into the traps of accusers and legalists.